Hello everyone, this is the historiographer. Today, we will be discovering the life and times of the man whose ambitions led him to becoming one of the most famous rulers of Al-Andalus. Thanks to his political cunning and shrewdness, he quickly scaled up the Umayyad bureaucracy, and, as a result, he founded a state within a state. His military exploits were unrivaled by any Islamic ruler in the history of Al-Andalus, as he raided the Iberian kingdoms to the north 57 times in his lifetime, not once suffering a defeat. His name struck fear in the hearts of European popes and monarchs, as he restored the power of Al-Andalus. Meet Mohammed ibn Abi Amer Almansour, or commonly known to the Iberians as Almanzor. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, as it helps massively. Now back to the video. Mohammed ibn Abi Amer was born in 939 in Algeciras, on the southern tip of the Iberian Peninsula. He was born into an Arab landowning family of Yemeni origin, belonging to the Al-Ma'afir tribe. They had been established in the peninsula since the Islamic conquest of Iberia from the Visigothic kingdom in 710 AD. His father, Abdullah, was described as a pious and a kind man, who died in Tripoli while returning from his pilgrimage to Mecca, while his mother, Burayha, also belonged to an Arab family from the Banu Tamim tribe. After the death of his father, the young Muhammad traveled to Qurtubah, where he developed his studies in law, literature, the Quran, and the prophetic Sunnah, thus completing his education as a faqih. However, the death of his father and the bad family situation led him to abandon his studies and take the profession of a scribe. The position of a scribe was important during this time, since it was the only source of communication between the people and the ruling court, since the people went to the scribes to write their complaints. Indeed, he opened a scribe shop near the mosque of Qurtubah, which was close to the offices of administration, in order to earn his livelihood. He stood out among other scribes due to his excellent writing style and his competence. Ibn Abi Amer soon caught the attention of Vizier and Hajib Ja'far al-Mushafi, head of the civil administration and chamberlain of the Caliph, who would soon introduce him to the royal court. Muhammad ibn Abi Amer, who was by now in his 30s, began to accumulate positions in the administration of the Umayyad Caliph Al-Hakam II. In 967, he was given charge of Abdurrahman, the son and heir of Al-Hakam II, at the behest of his young wife Subh the Basque, who owed her power due to her being the mother of the Caliph's children. Muhammad ibn Abi Amer forged a privileged relationship with Subh, which was extremely beneficial for his career. Thanks to his knowledge, professionalism, and the intercession of Subh, he became director of the mint in 967, the steward the next year, and was promoted to the Qadi of Seville and Niebla, two of the most important cities in the state. By 970, the young heir, Abdurrahman, had died, and Ibn Abi Amer was thus placed in the same role for the other son of the Caliph, the 11-year-old heir Hisham. Furthermore, he obtained the command of the police of Qurtubah. However, his meteoric rise to power provoked a number of statesmen who saw in his rise to positions a major threat to theirs, so he was accused of embezzlement from the money of the mint. Due to the suspicion of Al-Hakam II, he was removed from the position of head of the mint, but he kept the rest of his positions, including the guardian of the young child and heir Hisham, giving him a huge deal of influence in the matters of the state. In 973, Muhammad ibn Abi Amer regained the trust of the Caliph, and was subsequently given the official position of High Qadi of the Umayyad possessions in North Africa. He thus undertook the logistical, administrative, and diplomatic aspects of the Umayyad military campaign against the Zaydi Idrisids in the Maghrib. His responsibility in his role was to obtain the submission of the notable Berber and Arab tribes of the region, by giving them formal gifts to sway them towards the Caliph. After achieving victory against the Idrisids, Ibn Abi Amer returned to Qurtubah in 974. His participation in the campaign allowed him to gain a loyal following of Berber troops, which would prove essential to him in the future. It also allowed him to establish relations with the tribal leaders in the area, and with his future powerful father-in-law, the General Ghalib, who had led the military aspects of the operation. Nevertheless, Ibn Abi Amer's ability to manage the organizational, logistical, and economic aspects of the campaign was widely recognized, and he was rewarded with his reappointment as head of the mint, as well as being appointed the inspector of the professional troops, which included the bulk of the Berber troops he brought from the Maghrib. The death of the ailing Caliph in 976 would rearrange the political situation in Al-Andalus, and would prove to be a critical period in Andalusian history. The death of the Umayyad Caliph Al-Hakam II in 976 AD initiated a power vacuum in Al-Andalus, where the successor to the throne would be the son of Al-Hakam II, the young 11-year-old child Hisham. With Hisham being too young to rule, the power vacuum would be filled by a formidable yet uneasy triumvirate. This triumvirate consisted of three men: Almanzor, who by now controlled important positions within the state and was backed by both his loyal North African troops as well as the cunning Queen Mother Subh; the highly influential Chamberlain Al-Mushafi, who controlled the administration of the state; and the powerful old General Ghalib ibn Abd al-Rahman. Tensions would soon flare between Ibn Abi Amer and the Chamberlain Al-Mushafi. However, as in 976 AD, Al-Mushafi failed to properly defend against the Christian incursion which nearly reached Qurtubah, where contrary to both Almanzor and the General Ghalib, Al-Mushafi favored diplomacy. The Chamberlain's failure allowed Ibn Abi Amer, who was backed by Subh and the General Ghalib, to assume control of the troops. Indeed, Almansour would go on several campaigns against the Christian kingdoms to the north in the following year, earning him a huge deal of prestige and popularity within the Andalusians, as well as securing his political power. Almansour, hoping to secure his position with the influential General Ghalib before committing against Al-Mushafi, married the general's daughter when he returned to Qurtubah in 978 AD. Finally, Ibn Abi Amer and Ghalib would strip Al-Mushafi of his title as Chamberlain and imprison him, where both leaders would now be responsible for governing the state. Hoping to further gain power, Almanzor started the construction of a completely new city in 979 at the outskirts of Qurtubah called Al-Zahira, where he would move the young Caliph and his mother there. Dissatisfied with the unrelenting power grab of Almanzor, the General Ghalib would betray him in late 980 when both were returning from a raid against the northern Iberian kingdoms. However, Ghalib was defeated by Almanzor and his Cordoban and Berber troops, and Ghalib would soon join forces with the northern Christian kingdoms of Castile and Pamplona. On the 10th of July 981, the Battle of Torre Vicente would occur between Almanzor and Ghalib and his Christian allies. Despite having the upper hand in the first moments of the battle, the 80-year-old General Ghalib would die in battle after being decisively defeated by Almanzor. Victory in this battle finally made Ibn Abi Amer the sole Chamberlain and the de facto ruler of Al-Andalus. Indeed, this battle would earn him the title Al-Mansour, or the Victorious, hence giving him more control over the young Caliph. With the death of his opponent Ghalib after the victory in the Battle of Torre Vicente in 981 AD, Almanzor was left as the sole governing power in Muslim Iberia. To ensure the continuation of his power, Almanzor established units of mixed origins by the mid-980s. These units consisted of tribal Arabs, Slavs, Berbers, and native Iberian converts, where he would successfully use ethnic rivalries to further his own power. Being the real ruler of Al-Andalus, Almanzor sought to further concentrate his power. In 991 AD, Almanzor had officially set up his own court in the city he had constructed, Al-Zahira, where he made most of the state's political decisions with the ceremonial consent of Subh the Basque and of the Caliph. He had also begun to use his own seal, as well as ordering the mosques to recite his name after that of the Caliph during Friday prayers. However, his attempts to seize power ended the long alliance between Almanzor and Subh in 996. Indeed, after 20 years as a representative of Subh, Almanzor confronted the Caliph's mother and her supporters, as a frustrated Subh tried to attempt a coup, as well as setting up a rebellion in North African-controlled frontiers. However, the palace coup had failed politically, with the supporters of Subh being removed, as well as militarily, as Almanzor sent his son and heir Abdul Malik to North Africa to crush the Moroccan revolt in 997, as well as thwart any attacks from Shia Fatimid clans. Finally, this failed coup left Almanzor as the only uncontested power in Al-Andalus, where he would effectively found the Emirate state. This coup had endangered Ibn Abi Amer, as he was now risking being seen as nothing more but a usurper. Up to this time, Almanzor had already led up to 30 military expeditions to the northern Iberian kingdoms, which posed a threat to the stability of the frontiers. However, to further bolster his legitimacy and position himself as the defender of the faith after the delicate political situation in 996, Ibn Abi Amer had begun his greatest ever raid on one of Christianity's holiest cities, Santiago de Compostela, a Christian city which attracts many pilgrims. Indeed, in a combined operation involving his own land troops and the fleet, Almanzor's forces had reached the city in mid-August of 997. According to various sources, the city was deserted, with its inhabitants having abandoned it for fear of Almanzor. The city was plundered, and the bells of the church were transported to Qurtubah as a sign of victory. Victory against the Kingdom of Leon in the raid against Santiago de Compostela had cemented Ibn Abi Amer's legacy as the champion of the faith, where Almanzor's legitimacy had increased twofold overnight. News of the devastating raid soon spread throughout Europe, and the reputation of Almanzor to the Christians became so frightening that it is said that Christian mothers used to scare their children to bed with stories of Almanzor. And from here comes the saying that Almanzor was the scourge of Europe. Almanzor died on August 9, 1002 of illness at the age of about 65 in Medinat Salim after returning from his final and 57th campaign. Undoubtedly, Almanzor was one of the few Muslim leaders who stopped Christian incursions into the state, as his reign put a temporary stop to the Reconquista. He was succeeded by his son Abdul Malik, where the Emirate state would last until 1009, where the fracturing of the centralized Andalusian state would occur, ushering in the Muluk al-Tawa'if era. But that is a story for another time. Thank you for watching, and consider subscribing if you like the content, as it helps massively. This has been the Historiographer. Have a good one.